All right, gang, welcome back to the big board, and we're now looking at 1st of October, Soviet turn. Soviets picked up initiative for this turn, which means they will get to do all their actions and activities first. And I thought I'd do a quick little check-in here and give you a little update on what's transpired to date. So we'll start down in the south with first Belarus. Activities there were a push along the Kelyban railway line and an attempt to set up an attack into the clear terrain out of the swamps. Then some partisan tracks were laid through the swamps in an attempt to get around the hedgehogged German units situated in hex 0808, I think it was. 0807, and that hex was we were able to disrupt it. Unfortunately, when we did that with air, unfortunately the Germans reciprocated in the reaction phase and disrupted some of the forces, the 7th Guard Cav attacking out of the swamp on the flank of the Germans. So that's going to be a little bit of a complicated activity once we get through the rest of the bits and pieces for the turn. Further up, we advanced. I managed to be sneaky for a moment, at least, with the Russians. Put them all into reserve. I put, four of them into reserve, actually, these four. And that allowed them to move the one hex, cross into the swamp, then they'll use their full movement in the exploit phase. I went ahead and just moved them anyway, just so I get it done and not mess around. I also then moved in the, there's a clear hex and a river here where we can cross over. So I've begun pushing some armor into there and some supplies to support them. All well and good. And in the far corner of the video, you can see there's a orange marker there. That hex and the hex above it are both disrupted. The Germans are in a little village called Klimovichi, and we were looking to try and set up an attack on the far edge of 2nd Belarus's front, in an effort to capture that village, which will allow us to extend the rail lines and then potentially push on to the next river line, which you can see in the background here is basically bounded by the village of Cherikov, Korma, and then it runs back down into 1st Belarus's area. There's another little town in here called Vetka. That would be the 3 or 4 towns that, there's another little one here called Chechhorsk as well. That's probably going to be the next offensive line that the Germans will pick up on. I imagine that's what they're doing at the moment. The only exciting thing that happened in the German reaction phase was we got those tank busters in action, and they did not suffer any losses, but they did eliminate a full brigade of Soviet armor, guards armor. So that's kind of good for the Germans, I suppose. Although, given how the resources are coming in for the Soviets, they have plenty of replacements coming to supply themselves with new men and equipment as they are able to be released. So that's basically it. Now we're going to move on to the combat phase, and I will reconvene the video and we'll talk about the results. I may run through them all live. I'm not sure how we'll do that, but we'll see how we go. I also allocated the majority of the offensive supply down in 1st Belarus. I put 8 down in 1st Belarus and 4 or 5, I think, in 2nd Belarus, and none in the northern areas. So we'll just be shuffling units around in Western and 1st Baltic. There'll be very limited armor movement. I want to save the supply there for when we activate those fronts. Speaking of which, We are on the 7th activation, front activation for 2nd Belarus, and the 8th front activation for 1st Belarus, just as a reference point, meaning that once we get to 9, we will then have to look at rotating out of and back into regrouping mode, and then look to start an offensive somewhere else. All right, I'm going to stop here for the moment, and we'll catch up with more details in just a little bit.